Hi, I'm Evan, I'm 36, and New Year's morning was the moment I realized my family had been using me as their personal ATM, and my son finally noticed. The house still smelled like burnt coffee and cinnamon when my dad smirked across the living room and said, "Your kid doesn't get the good stuff. He's not the one we show off." My son looked up at me, clutching his gift. A used spiral notebook. Bent cover. Torn pages. Someone else's handwriting inside. "Dad," he asked quietly, "did I do something wrong?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I stood up, walked straight to the Christmas tree, picked up every expensive box I had paid for, and carried them out to my SUV without saying a single word. By 7:18 a.m., my phone was blowing up. By 7:19, my sister was pounding on my door like the building was on fire. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For most of my adult life, I've been the one who pays. Not because I'm rich. Not because I love writing checks. I pay because a stupid little voice in my head keeps whispering, "If you help just one more time, they'll finally appreciate you." They never do. I'm an auditor at a regional firm. Long hours, decent pay, nothing glamorous. I drive an 8-year-old Toyota with a cracked tail light I keep forgetting to replace. I live in a modest 2-bedroom apartment with my 10-year-old son, Noah. His mom left when he was 4, said she needed to find herself. Last I heard, she was in Arizona running a crystal shop with a guy named Sage. I wish I were kidding. My younger sister Lena lives in a 5-bedroom house with a pool, a 3-car garage, and a driveway that always seems to have a new SUV parked in it. She doesn't work. Her husband Mark sells real estate, supposedly does well, but somehow there's always a gap. That gap? That's me. 5 years ago, I wired $21,500 for their house down payment after my mom called me crying. Mark's credit wasn't ready. Lena was stressed. "Just this once," she said. She sent me a heart emoji. No thank you. 2 years later, I paid $5,200 when their youngest needed emergency surgery. Insurance didn't cover everything. Dad called. I didn't hesitate. Last summer, I sent $3,900 for their beach vacation. Noah was technically invited, but the dates never worked, and there wasn't room. Every birthday, every holiday, every achievement, I paid. And my son got leftovers. Noah never complained. He's quiet. Loves drawing spaceships. Builds Lego cities that take over the living room. Once, he asked if we could go to the Science Center downtown. I told him. Soon. I didn't tell him I just covered Lena's overdue credit card bill. This year, Lena's 3 kids all brought home perfect report cards. Dad called me like I'd personally won the lottery. "They deserve something big," he said. "Something memorable. Tablets. Premium ones. Plus wireless headphones. Total cost after shipping and cases? $2,750. I told myself I could afford it. I told myself family comes first. I wrapped every box myself at midnight while Noah slept. And that's how we ended up standing in my parents' living room on New Year's morning, her kids ripping open shiny gifts, my son opening trash, and my father finally saying the quiet part out loud. I stayed silent. But I wasn't done. The scariest thing about going quiet is that people finally hear you. I didn't raise my voice at my parents' house. I didn't slam anything. I didn't give a speech. I just moved. Calm. Efficient. Like I was at work closing out an audit and someone tried to argue with math. Noah was still on the floor, staring at the notebook like it might magically transform into something that made sense. My dad's smirk hung in the air like smoke. Lena's oldest, Brielle, was holding the tablet I bought her with both hands. It still had the plastic film on the screen. She looked from me to Dad like she couldn't tell if this was a prank. Lena sat frozen on the couch, phone in hand, eyes narrowed, waiting for me to do what I always did, swallow it, smile, and keep paying. I walked to the tree and lifted Brielle's tablet box right out of her lap. She didn't fight me. She just blinked and whispered, "Uncle Evan." I didn't answer. I grabbed Cole's headphones next. He did try to tug them back, 10-year-old pride, 10-year-old grip, but I'd been hauling heavy banker boxes and climbing stairwells for years. He let go. Then I took Mia's tablet, and the extra cases and the chargers. My mom finally found her voice from the kitchen doorway, towel clenched in her hands like she could wring reality into a different shape. "Evan, honey, stop. Please." I didn't look at her. My dad stood up so fast his recliner rocked back and thumped the wall. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Still nothing from me. I carried the stack out the front door into the cold, the kind of cold that bites your ears and makes your lungs feel too small. The morning air was sharp and clean, and it felt like someone cracked a window inside my chest. Behind me, Lena's voice shot up into panic. "Are you serious right now? Evan! Get back here!" I kept walking. I opened the trunk of my SUV, and I started loading everything in. One box, then another, then the last. I arranged them neatly like they were fragile. Like I respected them more than the people inside that house had respected my son. I shut the trunk with a solid thunk. Then I pulled out my phone, opened the family group chat, Mom, Dad, Lena, Mark, and typed 4 words. Rewards retrieved. Not negotiable. Sent. The second I hit send, my phone started vibrating like it wanted to launch itself into orbit. Call from Lena? Decline. Call from Dad? Decline. A text popped up from Mom. "Evan, please come back inside." Another from Lena. "You can't do this to my kids." Another from Dad. "Get your ass back here." I didn't respond. I went back inside for one thing, my son. Noah was still sitting on the floor, notebook in his lap. His fingers were tracing the jagged edge where pages had been torn out. He looked up when I walked in, and for a second I saw it. The moment a kid realizes grown-ups are capable of cruelty, not just mistakes. His eyes were glassy, but he wasn't crying. He was trying not to. That made it worse. I crouched beside him and slid my hands under his arms. He came up easily, light as a backpack. He looped his arms around my neck and pressed his face against my shoulder. No words. Just trust. Lena moved toward me, furious and disbelieving, like I'd stolen oxygen from the room. "Evan, you're acting insane!" My dad barked. "You embarrassed this family." "And my mom did the thing she always did when the truth got too sharp." She whispered, "Let's not make a scene." Like the scene hadn't already been made. Like my son's used notebook wasn't a scene. I walked out with Noah on my hip. I buckled him into the back seat, closed the door gently, then got in the driver's seat and finally looked at my parents' house one last time. Lena was in the driveway now, phone to her ear, pacing. Dad stood behind her, jaw clenched, gesturing wildly like the neighborhood needed a full performance. Mom was in the doorway, arms crossed, face tight like she was holding back a headache and a confession. I pulled away. Noah's voice floated from the back seat after a minute. Small. Careful. "Dad, are we in trouble?" I gripped the steering wheel, felt my hands shaking, and forced my voice to stay steady. "No, buddy. We're not in trouble. A beat. Not anymore. We got home at 7:19 a.m. I parked, turned off the engine, and sat there for 1 second, one quiet second, like the universe was holding its breath. Then the pounding started. Not on the car. On my apartment door. Hard. Fast. Angry. Like whoever it was thought they could beat my decision into changing. Noah leaned forward between the seats, eyes wide. "Is that Aunt Lena?" I stared at the building entrance. "Stay in the car," I told him. "Just for a minute." He nodded, clutching the used notebook like it was evidence. I got out and walked toward the stairs. And sure enough, there she was, Lena, in pajama pants and a messy bun, face red, fist slamming my door like she owned it. When she saw me, she spun around. "What is wrong with you?" That's when I finally spoke for the first time since my dad's smirk. But I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just said, calm as ice, "Get your hand off my door." Lena laughed when I said it. Not a funny laugh. Not a happy one. The sharp, disbelieving kind people use when they think they still have leverage. "Wow," she said, pulling her hand back but stepping closer. "So this is how you're doing it? Throwing a tantrum like a child?" I unlocked the door and stepped inside. She followed me without being invited, like she always had. The apartment felt smaller with her in it. Louder. Like the walls themselves were bracing. "You just ruined my kids' New Year," she snapped. "Do you have any idea how upset they are? Brielle is crying. Cole won't stop asking why you hate them." I locked the door behind us. Deadbolt. Click. Noah slipped in quietly from the car, still holding the notebook. He hovered near the hallway, unsure if he was allowed to exist in the room. I turned and looked at my sister. "I don't hate your kids," I said. My voice surprised even me, steady, flat. "I hate what you let happen to my son." She scoffed. "Oh my God, Evan, it was just a notebook. It was used." "So?" she shot back. "He can write in it. It's practical." That word again. Practical. The same word my parents used when they sold my laptop at 16 so Lena could get a car she wouldn't even drive for another year. Practical when I went to community college so she could go private. Practical when they missed my graduation. Practical when Noah got a card in the mail 3 days late. I looked past her at my son. He was standing perfectly still, shoulders hunched, eyes locked on the floor like he'd learned the safest way to survive was to disappear. Something in me snapped, but not loudly. Quietly. Cleanly. I pointed at the door. "Get out." Lena stared at me like I'd spoken another language. "Excuse me? Get out." Her face flushed. "You don't get to talk to me like that. I do in my own home." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Tried again. "You're punishing my kids because Dad said something stupid." "No," I said. "I'm protecting mine." She shook her head, pacing now. "You've always been dramatic. You take everything so personally." I laughed. Just once. Dry. Humorless. "Lena," I said, "over the last 8 years, I've paid for your house, your vacations, your emergencies, your bills, your kids' birthdays, and your peace of mind. I spent $2,750 on rewards for your kids this week." She crossed her arms. So my son got trash." Silence. Heavy. Thick. Noah shifted behind me. I felt him without looking. Lena exhaled sharply. "You could have handled this better." That did it. I stepped closer, not threatening, just present. "This was better," I said. "Better than yelling. Better than begging. Better than pretending it's fine." Her voice cracked, not with remorse, but frustration. "You didn't have to take everything." "I did," I replied. "Because if I left even one box, you'd still think I'd cave." She searched my face for the old version of me. The fixer. The fallback. The wallet. She didn't find him. "You're being selfish," she said finally. I nodded. For the first time in my life. That's when she exploded. She called me cruel. Petty. Said I was traumatizing her kids. Said Dad was furious. Said Mom was crying. Said I was tearing the family apart over one stupid moment. I waited. Then I said the sentence that changed everything. "I'm done paying." She froze. "What?" "I'm done," I repeated. "No more help. No more covering gaps. No more just this once." She laughed again, louder now, sharper. "You don't mean that." "I do." "You'll change your mind." "No. You always do." "Not this time." Her face hardened. "You're going to regret this." I looked past her to Noah, who had finally lifted his eyes. He was watching me. Really watching. "Maybe," I said. But not today. Lena stared at me for a long second, then stormed toward the door, yanking it open so hard it rattled the frame. As she left, she threw one last line over her shoulder. Don't expect us to forgive you. The door slammed. The apartment went quiet. Noah walked over slowly and placed the notebook on the table like he was setting something heavy down. Dad? He asked. Yeah, buddy? Are we still a family? I knelt in front of him, heartbreaking and healing at the same time. We are, I said. Just a smaller one. His shoulders relaxed, just a little. That night, after Noah fell asleep, I opened my laptop. And that's when I finally did the math. I didn't open my laptop angry. That surprised me. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't replaying my dad's words on a loop like I usually did. I felt clear. Like the fog that had been sitting on my brain for years finally burned off. I logged into my bank account and scrolled. At first, it was just numbers. Familiar ones. Too familiar. $21,500, house down payment. $5,200, surgery. $3,900, vacation. $1,400, temporary, car insurance coverage. $2,750, tablets and headphones. Then came the smaller ones. The ones that never felt big enough to fight about. $180, groceries. $95 phone bill. $60, gym membership. $130, music lessons. $220, emergency, electric bill. $300, birthday party deposit. I opened a spreadsheet. Column by column, I laid it out like an audit report from hell. Date. Amount. Reason. Recipient. It took me 2 hours. When I was done, I leaned back in my chair and stared at the final total. $39,840. Almost $40,000. I let out a laugh that startled me. It wasn't joy. It was disbelief. That number wasn't just money. It was time. Stress. Missed trips. Delayed repairs. Nights telling Noah, maybe later, because later had already been spent on someone else's comfort. I thought about the science center tickets I'd never bought. The college fund I'd never started. The vacation Noah had never taken. Then I opened a new document. This one was shorter. It was a list of every recurring payment I was still covering. Lena's car insurance, $158 per month. Family phone plan, 5 extra lines, $102 per month. Streaming services for my parents, $49 per month. Music lessons, $125 per month. Gym membership, $65 per month. Total, $499 per month. $6,000 a year. I didn't hesitate. I canceled everything. One by one. Each confirmation email felt like inhaling after holding my breath for years. At 12:43 a.m., my phone buzzed. Lena, why did my insurance cancel? I didn't answer. Another buzz. Mom, Evan, something's wrong with our TV. The apps won't open. I turned my phone face down. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The next morning, I woke up to 97 missed calls. I made breakfast anyway. Eggs. Toast. Orange juice. Noah shuffled into the kitchen in his socks, hair sticking up, eyes sleepy. Are they still mad? He asked. Probably, I said. He nodded like that made sense. Can we go to the park today? I smiled. Yeah. We can. At 9:12 a.m., the knocking started again. Multiple voices this time. I didn't open the door. I turned the TV up. Noah sat on the floor building a Lego rover, completely focused, unbothered by the noise. Kids know when something is over before adults do. The knocking stopped after 10 minutes. My phone buzzed nonstop. Blame. Threats. Guilt. Then one message stood out. From my dad. You're making a huge mistake. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I deleted it. That afternoon, Noah and I went to the science center. He pressed his face against the glass of the planetarium like he was trying to crawl into the stars. He whispered facts under his breath, excited, alive. And for the first time in years, I wasn't distracted. I was there. Fully. That night, after Noah fell asleep on the couch halfway through a movie, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. Evan, Mark said. We need to talk. His tone wasn't angry. It was cold. Evan, Mark said again, slower this time. You've taken this too far. I leaned back against the couch, staring at the dark TV screen where Noah's reflection was still visible, mouth open slightly in sleep. No, I said. I finally went far enough. He sighed like he was exhausted for me. Look, man, I get it. Feelings were hurt. Dad said something stupid. But you're hurting the kids now. That word again. Kids. Funny how no one ever used it when Noah was the one getting shortchanged. I'm not hurting anyone, I said. I stopped paying. You can't just cancel stuff without warning, he snapped. My insurance lapsed. I got pulled over. I got a ticket. That sounds stressful, I said evenly. There was a pause. Are you being sarcastic? No. I'm being done. His voice hardened. Lena's talking to a lawyer. You took back gifts. That's theft. I almost laughed. Almost. Those gifts were bought on my card, I said. They were never transferred. And if you want to spend money on lawyers, go ahead. Just don't ask me to pay for that too. Silence. Longer this time. You're really going to throw away your family over this? He asked. I looked down at Noah, curled into the corner of the couch, clutching a throw blanket like it was armor. No, I said. I'm choosing mine. I hung up. The next day, the messages slowed. Not because they understood, but because they were regrouping. That's when the email came. Subject, family meeting. Time, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Location, mom and dad's. Note, don't bring Noah. This is between adults. I read it twice. Then I closed it. I didn't go. Instead, Noah and I built a blanket fort in the living room. We ate microwave popcorn and watched a movie he'd been saving. He fell asleep halfway through, head on my shoulder, breathing slow and steady. For the first time in a decade, no one needed anything from me. 3 days passed. Then 4. The phone stopped ringing. On the 5th day, I got a single text from my mom. You've hurt this family deeply. I stared at it for a long time. Then I blocked her number. That night, Noah asked, Are we still going to see Grandma and Grandpa? I thought carefully before answering. Only if you want to. He shook his head. They make me feel small. I swallowed. Okay, I said. Then we won't. 2 weeks later, I got a handwritten letter from Lena. 3 pages. Lots of I feel, and you don't understand. And the kids miss you. The last line said, we need you. I folded it once. Then again. And dropped it in the recycling bin. Because I finally understood something. They didn't need me. They needed my money. And those two things were never the same. A week after the letter went into the recycling bin, something strange happened. Nothing. No calls. No emails. No emergencies. The silence was unsettling at first. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for a surprise visit, a dramatic voicemail, a new angle of guilt I hadn't seen coming yet. Instead, life just kept going. I set up a savings account for Noah. Automatic transfer, $75 a week. It wasn't huge, but watching that balance grow felt better than any thank you I'd never gotten. I also booked my first therapy appointment. That took me longer than canceling 12 payments combined. Sitting in that chair, answering questions I'd dodged my entire life, was harder than standing up to my family. My therapist asked things like, "When did you learn your needs came last?" And, "What would happen if you disappointed them?" The answers weren't dramatic. They were old. Noah noticed the change before anyone else. "You don't look tired all the time anymore," he said one night while brushing his teeth. "I'm still tired," I told him. "Yeah," he shrugged. "But different." He was right. I was lighter. About a month later, I ran into Lena at the grocery store. She was pushing a cart with one squeaky wheel, phone wedged between her ear and shoulder, arguing quietly about a late fee. She didn't see me at first. When she did, she froze. We stared at each other between the milk and the eggs like two people who used to speak the same language and forgot how. "Evan," she said finally. "Lena." She looked tired. Not dramatic tired. Real tired. Dark circles. No makeup. No confidence armor. "How's Noah?" she asked. "He's good." A pause. "And you?" I thought about lying. Saying fine, like I always had. "I'm really good," I said instead. She nodded slowly. "That's good." She hesitated, then said, "I didn't realize how much you were doing." I believed her. "That didn't change anything." "I hope things work out," I said, and meant it. I walked away before she could ask for anything. That night, Noah and I made spaghetti. His favorite. We ate at the table, talked about school, laughed when the sauce splattered on the wall. Later, we built another blanket fort. Halfway through the movie, Noah fell asleep on my shoulder again. I didn't move. I sat there in the quiet, holding my son, and finally understood something I wish I'd learned years earlier. Being dependable doesn't make you loved. Being visible does. And the only person I needed to be visible for was already right there. 3 months passed. Real months. Not the dramatic kind where everyone pretends things are cool while waiting for you to break. No one broke. Not me. Not Noah. The world didn't end because I stopped paying. The sun still came up. Bills still got paid, by the people who actually owed them. Funny how that works. One afternoon, Noah came home from school waving a permission slip. "Dad, there's a science camp this summer," he said, eyes bright. "It's kind of expensive, though." "How expensive?" I asked. He hesitated. $600. Old me would have flinched. Calculated. Thought about who might need help next month. I didn't flinch. "We can do that," I said. He stared at me like I'd just told him we were going to the moon. "Really? Really?" That night, I sat at my desk and looked at the savings account. It wasn't huge, but it was ours. Every dollar in it had a purpose. Noah's future. Not Lena's emergencies. Not my parents' comfort. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. I answered. It was my dad. "Evan," he said, voice stiff. "Your mother wants to know if you're coming for Easter." I smiled to myself. "No," I said. He sighed. "You're still holding on to this?" "No," I replied. I let go. Silence. "You know," he said finally, "family is supposed to stick together." I thought about Noah with his notebook. About the smirk. About the word practical. "I am," I said. "With my family." He didn't have a response for that. I hung up first. Later that evening, Noah asked, "Dad?" "Yeah? Are you proud of me?" The question hit me harder than anything my parents had ever said. I turned and looked at him. "Every single day." He smiled, his full smile this time. The one that reaches his eyes. 6 months later, the used notebook was still on our kitchen shelf. Not because Noah needed it. Because I needed the reminder. It sat there between cookbooks and junk mail, pages still torn, cover still bent, quiet proof of the day everything finally changed. Noah never used it. Not once. He didn't need to. His backpack was full now. New supplies. New opportunities. A summer science camp t-shirt he wore until it faded. A savings account with his name on it. Plans? Real ones? One night, as I tucked him in, he asked something that stopped me cold. "Dad, why didn't you stop them sooner?" Kids have a way of asking the exact right question at the exact wrong moment. I sat on the edge of his bed and told him the truth, not the soft version. "Because I thought being helpful meant being loved." He frowned. "That doesn't make sense." I smiled. "It took me a long time to figure that out, too." He rolled onto his side, already drifting. "I'm glad you figured it out." So was I. I never went back to family meetings. I never reopened my wallet. I never explained myself again. Some bridges don't burn. They just stop getting crossed. A year later, I ran into my parents once at a hardware store. Polite nods. No drama. No reconciliation montage. Just distance, and for the first time, peace. That's when I understood the real lesson. You don't owe access to people who hurt your child. You don't owe silence to protect someone else's comfort. And you don't owe loyalty to anyone who treats love like a transaction. I didn't lose a family. I found one. Just me and my son, no smirks, no ledgers, no conditions. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. I was exactly where I belong.